All right, and it's live. Everyone say hey to the internet. Welcome back into Educare Spiritus. Yes.
That sounds logical.
All right.
Hey,
So for the first round of this webinar, let's go around the room and introduce ourselves. So starting from Bonnie. I knew you muted a
She's like,
microphone.
why me?
She muted her microphone. So I'm gonna do
That's because I'm typing and I'm singing and I'm just kidding. Okay, what's the question?
it.
Hi everyone out there.
Like some of your perspective on healthy eating.
Well, my perspective is I'll start by saying that everybody's diet is different. Everybody's body is different, so everybody is going to resonate differently with different foods. Like, okay, fast food is going to be bad for everybody. I'm not saying like fast food's good for some people, but I'm saying that like um some people do really well on a vegan and vegetarian diet, and some people get sick on a vegan and vegetarian diet and need more like high protein, or some people need low carb, high fat sort of diets. And so everybody is different. And so I think it's important to listen to your own body system. And there's also a book called Mindful Eating. I think it's more about like the proportions that we're eating, and not so much the main thing I would love to get across to people is to watch your grains, because I'm like one of those gluten intolerant people, but I found that out later in life, and the way that grains are made right now today is just like not even close to how humans used to eat grain and how we used to make it. And like so many people are, we like not able to process that, and it's it causes a lot of like low energy and not feeling good and weight gain. And so yeah, I'd
That
watch the
makes
wheat.
sense.
And to be honest with you, I'm on a low carb diet, low carb, high fat diet. So like high in healthy fats and low in any type of grain. But I love that diet because it makes it so that I also am not eating sugar. It's like no sugar, which I think sugar is worse than, most things. Wheat and sugar, cut those out and you'll feel great.
And caffeine.
Yeah.
Some
Oh,
people,
caffeine. Oh
some
my
some
God.
people say might want to hang on to, everybody's on their own level. Some people
Okay.
drink a lot of coffee.
Okay. So for the next person would be Michael. Michael, I keep hearing a lot from you. So tell us about your perspective on healthy eating and introduce yourself to the audience. I know you have some secrets.
Wait, what was the question?
About your perspective on healthy eating and enlightenment. How do you achieve enlightenment through healthy eating, or use it as a tool to reach it?
Ooh, can I say one more thing?
I
Yeah,
think
go
you
ahead,
would
Bonnie.
don't eat other people's poop.
Also, remember
Oh,
that sugar is addicting, and carbohydrates are addicting. And so getting off carbohydrates is really empowering because you're not being controlled by this addiction all the time. And the relationship between food changes and morphs. And so it's actually really empowering to get off of carbohydrates and sugar. So that's what I'll recommend for
All
enlightenment
carbohydrates?
while eating.
okay.
Okay, insect mind. They're addictive. Yes, they're addictive. But I don't understand what you're saying exactly.
I mean,
They
like,
are addictive.
As
Yeah.
opposed to addicting.
Okay, sugar is addictive, and
mm-hmm.
carbohydrates are addictive.
Wait, but did you mean all carbohydrates, Bonnie?
Because there's also
Basically, I mean, you can have like fruits and stuff,
Okay.
but in general, I believe it's best to keep your sugar and carb intake between 20 and 100 grams. So you can have like fruit, but I wouldn't go too far outside of fruit for sugar
Because I
wise.
always heard that was like food for, it was like fuel for the body or fuel for the brain, like carbohydrates, like certain
Well,
carbohydrates.
it's not only that, but what I've read about sugar is whenever it gets into your system, it turns into a starch, or there's like candida or something like that, bad bacteria in your stomach, and it'll use that against you. Basically, it's not you craving the sugar; it's the bacteria in your stomach.
Oh, interesting. Okay, Andy. So you want? All right. My name is Mikael. If you guys never heard of me before, my perspective on healthy eating. I think it goes hand in hand with mind, body, and spirit. I just don't think it should be used. It's healthy to do. It's a really good thing to do, because to evolve spiritually or to be able to tap into higher states of mind, if you're not eating or treating your body well, your body will interrupt you from getting into those states. So it's really good to have a relationship with the body, realizing that the body is sacred. It's like a vehicle to get to another place. But in my opinion, I think it's very healthy to do. Definitely take care of it. But I'd say it's not, just being vegetarian or vegan or so doesn't make a person enlightened or more spiritual. I think what it does is it definitely, you're able to really understand and realize that a lot of the animals are being treated in not the kindest way. So it's not to say anyone needs to become vegetarian or vegan. It's just saying there's an awareness for the animals that maybe you just had to wake up a little bit just to realize, the way that they're being treated, which you can still get grass-fed foods and such. So, in my opinion, well, there is one thing that is true. Pineapples is really good for, probably one of the best things you can do for opening or awakening clairvoyance. Also, a highly alkaline diet is a more, what they say, psychic system. The more alkaline foods that you eat, if that's what you're looking to do to be on that level, highly alkaline diet is very good. So, yeah, pretty much that's my perspective on healthy eating.
So what about you, Tony, or Insect, whoever can take the turn first? Because this is getting really interesting here. Woohoo! Oh.
Well, mine, I guess mine is kind of like, sort of like what Michael said. It's, you think about the energy that you're putting into your body. There's an old engineering saying or computer programmer saying, trash in, trash out. And that is so true whenever you're talking about food. You put shit in and you're going to get shit out, plain and simple. Not literally, obviously, but, it depends on what you eat, on what nutrients it has, and whatever, on how your body is going to perform. As far as vegetarians, I think that's more mental than anything, because some of the most peaceful races that on the planet that was in tune with and living with Mother Nature was the Native Americans, and they ate buffalo meat all the time. So obviously they did gather some fruits and berries and nuts and stuff like that, but for the most part, that's what they did. They hunted buffalo and lived on buffalo. But it's they were free. They were happy with their lives. It was enjoying their life. So that energy goes into that meat. They were grass fed. They fed on the plains. So it was all, that buffalo. Whenever they did kill it, they also was thankful for that buffalo and for its offering to them as to continue their longevity in their life. And they used every part of it. So they was very much so thankful and in tune with the whole idea of the buffalo. The buffalo, even in the Native American tradition, had their own nation, the Buffalo Nation. So they actually looked at them as a people. So they recognized their existence in the world as something that should not be taken for granted. Now, whenever you're also when you're eating and you don't necessarily know where it came from, some of what Christians do, which I believe is a good idea, is say grace. Now, you can use that however you wish in whatever religion you prefer, but kind of bless your food, put intention toward it, no matter what you're eating, and try to purify it. So in grace they say, they thankful for the food and bless this food and let it be nutritious and to us when we eat it, that type of thing. So when you're putting that intention out there, that goes into what you're eating. So you're putting energy into the food and then taking it into your body. So that energy, you're recycling it and focusing it, condensing it, and then consuming it. So there is a process there that the reason some people say grace is for that particular reason. They might not realize it, but it's something that a lot of people should really consider when they are about ready to eat something, is where it came from, what energies they're wanting to get out of it, and actually take the time to enjoy it. Don't just shovel it down.
Yeah, that is just one part of the story. So, you could what would you say about this? Because I know for
really
sure
like
we need.
that, Tony.
Yeah, we really do have to set an intention for everything, really, in order to. But I wonder, what else is still missing, because somehow there's still more to food than just simply intentions and chemicals in there.
So Daniel,
This bread I eat, this oath I swear. Yep.
what's your thoughts on it, Daniel?
Or would, yeah, your thoughts, Insight,
His name is Danielle.
or Daniel.
I personally, I've never really considered healthy eating very much. I don't eat very much. And, Crowley said that there should be a feast every day in celebration of life. And so, I just eat whatever I want to, that's my form of celebration.
Well, are you happy?
I suppose, yeah.
I think that's the most important thing.
It seems like you're like on the wayside, and we all want to hear what you have to say about this.
Woody?
Well, I suppose to an extent I agree with Crowley. I mean, as long as you enjoy what it is that you're doing, I mean, what you eat isn't going to get in the way of your spiritual practice, is it? Unless you're overly concerned about it, in which case you can just stop eating those things that make you feel that way.
Yeah. I mean, Crowley did eat.
You've got to be kidding me, Michael. Oh my God, you brought up that again. Oh.
No, but I'm saying if he enjoyed doing it, he enjoyed doing it.
Probably stood at an altar with loads of candles, a ritual.
True.
So Woody?
Yeah,
I just had to throw that in there.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
I've
Woody.
I've always, I guess I'm hopelessly addicted to sugar. My entire life, I've always, I like sweet, and I like bread too. And I used to think that whole wheat bread was healthy. Now they're saying that nothing made with wheat is healthy because of the way the wheat has been hybridized, and there's a form of wheat which is more similar to the wheat of 50 to 100 years ago called red fife wheat or turkey red wheat. Those two, but they're not readily available here in the United States. It seems to be available in Canada. I am not gluten intolerant, but I've heard there's other things in the wheat that is commonly sold today which is very injurious, but I could not live without bread or without sugar. I am trying to increase the amount of vegetables in my diet. I've recently just started increasing the amount of broccoli that I eat, which I think is very healthy. Also, I've read on sugar, you know, table sugar I think is about half sucrose and half glucose, and they say that the main food for the brain is glucose, so you can't cut glucose totally out because that is the only food I've read that your brain uses. So you do need some of that sugar for your brain.
It's a different kind of sugar, though.
Well, glucose, yeah, they just said the glucose, and your table sugar is what, about half sucrose and half glucose, which is about the same as high fructose. No, let's see. It's table sugar is about half fructose and half glucose, and the fructose is only good for quick energy that you burn up right away. The glucose is the part that you know, feeds your brain, and regular table sugar and high fructose corn syrup are about the same thing. And I think the only problem with high fructose corn syrup is that
that's the one that's modified.
Yeah, it's used in they put it in everything. I was surprised. I read the label of Campbell's tomato soup, and they use high fructose corn syrup in Campbell's tomato soup, which is why it tastes so sweet. So I like just buying tomato sauce and adding a little water to it and maybe a few vegetables rather than buying the Campbell's tomato soup. I could not live without wheat or without sugar. Although I'm trying to cut back on the sugar, it's difficult to do because it's virtually pushed at you everywhere you go in the store. I mean, it's just amazing. I'm trying to eat more dark chocolates now. I don't care for milk chocolate
that much. You can get the cacao. So. That's really good.
Yeah, it's more expensive though when you have to buy it online, and
true.
All the really good stuff is quite expensive. I can buy the unsweetened baking chocolate and add a little bit of sugar to it, but there again, that involves a lot of cooking and stuff. But probably my greatest food vice is sugar, because all my life I can remember having an immense craving for sugar. I mean, since I was a little kid. And
so it's
I'm
not
still
like
alive.
An emotional thing?
I don't know, but I'm already too old, and I'm still alive, so it hadn't killed me yet. I don't know. Maybe I'd be happier. Maybe I wouldn't get depressed so often. That's a problem with the sugar highs and lows. That could exacerbate a depression problem. But
yeah,
I don't know.
That's true. What you can also do is you can eat a handful of like cashews. It says if you eat 2 handfuls of cashews, that is equivalent to taking like an antidepressant.
Yeah. Oh, I might try that. But cashews, they're one of the more expensive products. That's another thing. Your junk food is so much cheaper. You can fill yourself up and get all the calories you want a lot cheaper with the junk food than you can with with real food now. Unfortunately.
But if you do actually get off of sugar and get off of the addiction part of sugar and are on a high-fat, low-carb diet, like you start to not need as much food. And throughout the day, I actually end up eating a lot less food than I did. So even though it seems like I'm paying more maybe at the grocery store, like I'm like going weeks without having to go back because, you know, I like to go back to get my fresh vegetables and stuff, but not like the majority of things because I just don't eat as much throughout the day. So at first it seems like a difference in prices, but once you kind of get the foods that you can eat, like the high-fat foods, it actually ends up saving you money. So just so everybody knows.
Wait, so Bonnie and guys, here's something that I don't is it true that when you like eat a more high fat, it will actually make you feel like a lot healthier? Because here's what I notice when in some people, like for example myself, I used to go to fast food restaurants and even like eat high fat foods. But I don't know what happened, but after just 1 hour of intaking it from one of those type of food, I ended up feeling like depressed all of a sudden. Like, can anyone clarify about that?
Andy, I'm not talking about fat, like traditional fats from like fast food restaurants. Like, it's not that type of fat. When you say high fat, low carb, it's healthy fats. So like your omega-3 fats, coconut oil, vegetable oil, grass-fed butter, flaxseed oil, avocados, flaxseed itself. Even some people do almond butters or peanut butters.
I just had that today.
There's a whole bunch of healthy fats that can curb your sugar craving, you know, so that you can get off sugar. And those are healthy. I'm not saying go eat like, you know, something with like greasy fat from like a fast food restaurant or something like that.
So basically, quality fat, low carb fat.
Yeah, they're just called healthy fats, omega-3s. Like fish oil is one of them. So yeah, just to clarify, if you're gonna go and eat a bunch of crappy fat, like fast food fat, yeah, you're gonna be depressed. But with the high carb, low fat, because we are addicted to carbohydrates, when we go off of them, there's like 3 days where I felt like crap. Like you don't feel good. You literally, your body has withdrawal symptoms to the carbs. So at first you're not gonna really feel that good. So it's good to like schedule off 3 days of work or whatever, so that you can, because you know it's going to happen if you get off the carbs. It's like getting off a drug. You know you're going to have withdrawal. So then after 3 days, though, it gets a lot easier, because then you're over the like withdrawal symptoms. Some people have them for up to a week. But then after that, I felt like my energy level was higher. I felt better throughout my day. I didn't have to eat as much food. I didn't feel controlled by wanting food all the time.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that's some good advice.
All right, so going back from what we were talking about, like using food as like a way to reach enlightenment, like it does have a lot to do with like your mood and everything, and how it directly affects your concentration on meditation. Like, for example, do you guys notice, like, whenever, like, when Bonnie hosted a meditation, like, around 8:30 p.m., like, if you guys eat something, like, before then, it also affects how you go through the meditation that day, you notice? It's pretty weird, but it's true.
I don't think you want to eat too much right before you go into a meditation.
Really, it really just depends on what you eat, because, when you're digesting, you're digesting your food after you've ate it, even like 1 or 2 hours after you eat. Of course, we eat about 5:30, so it's pretty much digested before you go to bed, and it was way digested before 8:30. But yeah, it takes a couple of hours for it to digest, and some foods even longer than that, depending on what it is, like whole meats, if you don't chew real well. So you got to think about that as well, because your body, it'll definitely take time and energy to digest. So yeah, but if you're going to meditate, I wouldn't suggest eating like a hamburger, even if it is like grain-fed Angus beef, you know, with organically grown vegetables and stuff on a a bun that you cooked at home using fresh grained flour. It's still not going to matter because you got to digest it, you know. So you got to have energy that's focusing on that, and that's earthy, you know. So, and if you're trying to reach a meditative state, that's not in the root chakra, that's up higher. So, yeah, you definitely don't want to eat before you meditate.
Well, and you're moving your energy around in your body when you're meditating. You know, you're literally moving your blood around, you're moving your energy around, and so when you have just eaten, like your energy gets caught up in your digestive system instead of being able to flow through your body, clearing any blockages. So it's best to, I mean, don't let it be an excuse to not meditate. If you're like, well, I just ate, so I can't meditate. You can still meditate if you just eat. But it is like my yoga teacher or meditation teacher would always say, to not have eaten within 2 hours before coming to class, like 2 to 3 hours, and especially not something like wheat. Yeah.
But yeah, you can meditate. Like, I mean, right before I ate, I guess one day I did like a 5-minute, you know, little meditation, just standing there at the counter. And I think that's really important too, because like you're in a hurry to get like dinner done, and then once you've done that, you want to like calm down so you don't eat too fast. So I've done that as well. And eating too fast is something else that I should say is actually not.
I used to do that too.
You really want to take time and chew your food. I mean, they say like 33 times, you know, the magic number, 33. But no, seriously, you just chew it till you know it's like you believe it's like easy, you know, to a consistent amount. You know, you don't want to swallow stuff whole, that's for sure. Or even like chew on it for 3 or 4 bites and then swallow it. You know, really chomp it up. It helps your system out so much.
What they call diarrhea, that's when a person hasn't, like when something hasn't digested properly, right?
I don't know, to be totally honest here.
That's exactly what it is, Michael.
To be totally honest. But,
anyone know on the science of diarrhea?
Okay, so Michael, I do know what diarrhea is by medical definition. Is that it's almost like this bodily system or in the solar plexus where there's some kind of dysregulation. It's caused by many different factors, like if you're high anxiety, or depending on your mood, or depending on what you put in your system and how well you respond to it.
Fiber, it's also being low in fiber.
Thank you, Bonnie.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
But like another thing is that what I just like found out that Insect just said is that there's large amounts of omega-3 and 6 in hemp seed oil, but however, what's the benefit of omega-3 and 6 besides the fact that it just boosts your cardio system and also helps your brain function better?
It beneficia el cerebro. It's really good for the brain.
Bonnie, do you know anything about omega-3 and omega-6? You're on that diet, so...
Like overdosage of that?
It does a lot. I can't even begin to explain. There's a lot of good books. There's like books on paleo, and there's brain, and there's a lot of research. I mean, people reverse diseases mostly from quitting sugar and upping the omega-3, omega-6 intake. It's pretty fascinating. The Paleo Solution is a good book that talks a lot about it. Practical Paleo is a good book to help get started on it.
But like, here's the thing: is like when
every disease book, the Jeff Primack book.
Right, but like, here's the thing, guys. It's like when you overdose on omega-3 or omega-6, it will backfire against you.
I don't think you overdose on omega-3.
Like, for example, like, I had this one naturopathic doctor that actually wrote an article and even a video research about for example, if you were to overdose on the amount of omega-3 by drinking a lot of pills, like they give you like 600 milligrams of those stuff, you're more likely at risk for breast cancer. For those of you who are like, I don't know, woman.
Yeah, but I mean, you're not supposed to take that much.
Yeah, but like that's the
I mean,
average.
everybody has like a good dose amount that.
I don't rely on supplements. I just
Well, what
try
what
and
Jeff
get my
Primack said,
vitamins
he said
through
it's
food
better
I
to
eat.
get it through the food. Like
Yeah.
almost everything, it's better to get it naturally through the food.
Oh, right, Michael. But, so let me kind of bring up something that I noticed when Michael and I went through this, what do you call it, this athlete we went through.
Huh?
It's not like what do you call it? It's a natural juice place. How do you call that? It's here in Austin.
Oh, you mean the juice land?
Yes, Juiceland. Yes, that place. I don't know about you guys, but like when I started putting cola, spirulina, or even most of the superfoods on there after just a long day of doing Tai Chi or yoga outside in front of my friend Michael, I was literally energized again. You know.
I got the royal flush.
And I got like the tropical passion, and I have no idea how in the world is that Michael and I are just like so energetic all of a sudden, like when we drink those stuff, you know?
Yeah.
It's weird.
Well, I didn't realize when it said flush, and I had to go to the, well, we went to the library, and then after that, I totally like had to go to the bathroom when I ran home, and then I didn't realize until later. Oh, okay, flush. That's what I mean by flush. Okay. And the royal flush. Okay, so, but yeah.
Literally killed it, that one.
Which I think those are really good to do, like colon cleanses. You will meet the toilet. I'm not gonna. You will meet the toilet, but it's really good for just cleansing everything. I think even on an energetic level, just clearing anything that's just not beneficial for the body.
But like, that's just only one part of the things that we were talking about. Like, it doesn't matter about like the food that you eat or or like the things that you or the name of it. What matters is the ingredient. Because the thing is like,
The ingredient.
like Michael, did you realize that when you put that spirulina inside one of your drinks, it all of a sudden like you felt energetic? Because somehow I felt that way also.
Yeah.
Hey,
Well,
I felt this.
Well, chlorophyll is the closest, I believe, that contains the energy from the sun. So, there's no carbohydrates or anything in it, but you're getting like that direct energy from the sun in this form of algae or wheatgrass or chlorophyll. So, I mean, it's just that. I mean, it has in its basically essence the energy of the sun.
Well, you get the one thing I was taught in biology class in school was you get the most energy if you eat the plant yourself. The next best thing to do would be to eat the herbivore that ate the plant. But then the higher up the food chain you go, the more energy is lost on each level. So that's why we don't eat predators.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, that makes loss.
As far as flashing back to the omega and fatty acids, I've got this book that I edited for Andrew West. He's one of the guys on Paradigm Shift. He made called In a Nutshell, 36 Ways to Positively Change Your Life. And I'll read what it says on here about that. It says that literally that your body does not produce omega-3, must be obtained through diet. The great resources are like flaxseed oil, salmon, chia seeds, and nuts. Omega-3 fatty acids are needed for brain and eye development during like pregnancy and stuff like that, and also play an important role in brain and heart function and normal growth development. There are billions of cells within the human body, which many of which have phospholipid membrane or shell, and if you will, which allows these things to come in and out. A good portion of this membrane is made up of the essential fatty acids. The proper intake, of course, it contributes to healthy skin, nails, and hair, and possesses also anti-inflammatory properties. But yeah, it's just definitely something you want to get in your diet if you don't already have it.
Right. So, like, going back...
Get it from cod liver oil. There's one here that says cod liver oil with lightly lemon. And, what's that, primrose oil? I believe is what it says. Is another one. And I'm sure Bonnie can probably tell you some more as well. But yeah, definitely that omega-3 and omega-6s are definitely something to increase your health.
Now, that's just only one part of the story, because that's the thing is, like, going back from what I asked about, like, how is it related to enlightenment or Kabbalah, like, here's the funny thing, is that it is. You guys might not realize it, but just like every other organisms in this planet, the body functions just like the Kabbalah. You have hierarchies after hierarchies of different needs on there. One example could be like the root chakra. If you, like, it does depend a lot on what you eat. If you don't spend the time to eat healthy from that point, the rest will fall with it. Everything works like a leverage, you know? And enlightenment works like a leverage. You want it to come to you faster, you have to bring it to you faster by eating healthy from the inside out. It's weird.
Yeah, it's just like I was talking about as far as trash in, trash out. You know, whenever you start dealing with metaphysics and stuff like that, you have to be in a healthy shape, you know, because you're dealing with energies, and you're you're moving those energies around, just like Bonnie said, in like yoga, Reiki, Qigong, and you know, if you don't have the body healthy, then you know you're going to be taken away from what the body is trying to do to create that health by moving those energies. So what you need to do is make sure you're healthy, or you know, try to maintain a healthy lifestyle when you're doing that. Even Crowley said that when he's talking about when you're going to do ceremonial magic, you know, to make sure that you're familiar with the asanas of yoga, pranayama, and there was another one too, dharana, something like that.
Yep.
But yeah, absolutely, you have to have a healthy body, and you know that definitely leads. You know, that leads to you being able to do it. It's just like if you are like, oh, I don't know, 150, 200 pounds overweight, and you try to run a mile in track, you know, you might have to start off kind of slow with that whole effort. I'm not saying you can't.
I'm about 140 or 150.
You're 140, 150. Well, guess what? At least
I'm just using that as an example. It doesn't have anything to do with weight, really. If you're not used to doing it, then you're going to have a problem with it. It's like if you haven't ran, let's say, a mile in the morning, or you know, maybe even 5-mile run during the morning. Don't try to run a 25-mile marathon.
Yo, that's gotta hurt.
You have to build yourself up to it, and it's the same with dealing with any type of metaphysics. You know, you really have to make sure your body's healthy for it. That's what yoga is all about, is building up those channels and building up that health and breathing, bringing in clean, clear, pure oxygen into your body instead of just like a little bit of breath every now and then, just like your body normally does to regulate, but actually deep breathing, where you actually get some really, and breathing completely out. So you blow out all the old oxygen and blow in, fresh oxygen. So, and, doing that inside a house is one thing, but when you go outside and do it, it's a lot different. And of course, going up in the mountains and stuff like that, it's even more different because the air in the city isn't the same as it is out on a mountain. Not even close. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Now that's the thing. Like a lot of times a lot of times like in our cities, we all confined into like I don't know all the boxes of buildings, and I can just imagine just living there 24/7 or just staying there and work for 24/7. Like, I don't know how you get healthy out of that. And like many people don't even know what it means to be healthy anymore. Like mentally healthy or even physically healthy. All they can say is that if I'm skinny like this, I'm healthy. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense.
Andy, turn the reverb down.
Okay, is that better?
A little bit more.
Okay, never mind. I'll try to turn it off. Yeah, like I want to ask you, like I wonder, what do you guys say when it comes to like being healthy? I mean, how to define the audience define what makes a healthy person mentally and physically?
You want to take a shot at that, Daniel?
Sorry, what was the question?
Like, defining a person who is healthy physically and mentally.
Define physical and mental health?
Yeah, like a healthy man. That means a person who can be able to like do something. Is it without illness or is it an overcoming of illness?
I can't hear you very well for some reason.
Health audience understand what health means.
No, it's just
like he was saying, like for like a healthy like define what would, in your own words, how would you define a mentally or healthy person?
Yes, there we go. Thank you, Michael.
No problem.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with the spiritual aspect of that. The physical health and the mental health both relate to a thing, maybe. And I think like meditation helps a lot with that. And, realizing our interconnectedness with the universe and the disillusion of the ego, sort of thing. You know what I mean?
Anyone else I want to give this a try? Because, like, for
Yeah, we're
example,
gonna
like,
need to mute somebody. Somebody is really echoing.
I already did it, don't worry. But the thing is, guys, like, that's the thing. It's nowadays when the development of psychology and development of the medical industry, like, they literally can diagnose you at any different conditions. Like, for example, you were diagnosed with bipolar, PTSD, ADHD, it goes on like 300 years. And even we couldn't even read through all that, and yet all we heard is how unhealthy the human race are. Well, there is no definition of what a healthy person is. Like, no.
Well, the word heal is what makes the word healthy.
But and what is healing? What are we trying to achieve? Like, what state are we trying to achieve?
Well, the thing is, well, this is just something that I think a lot of people know, but if they don't, it's like, say, evolution, right? If just like every species has to evolve, the human race is evolving. But what would be the only way to be able to stop a genetic evolution is by modifying the foods and the things that these evolving humans eat, and if they eat enough of it or whatever of the genetically modifying food, instead of evolving, there's a genetic modification. You know, so like, I mean, for example, now it may be exaggerated a little bit, but like in X-Men, where you see these mutants and you see these people evolving. Well, we're getting right about that stage, but if there's food that's genetically modifying and modifying the DNA, which they say is malleable, then you know, you're talking about genetically modifying evolution.
Okay. So what about you, Tony? Because, like, I see that genetically modifying is no big deal because we've been doing that for millions of years, but how is that going to contribute us to being...
No, that's Monsanto.
Yeah, actually, Michael's right. Genetically modified foods hasn't been going for a long time. It has been going since around like 60s or something like that. As far as with wheat,
a million years ago,
they made it for mass production, you know, for food yield. But then, of course, whenever you get to like bleached flour and stuff like that, that was talked about earlier, it really has no nutritional value. You might as well be eating chalk. Because you know that's how much nutrition there is in it. It's basically all the nutrients and everything is separated out of it as far as the different seeds, the wheat germ, and all of that. But as far as like a definition of health, I would have to say on firstly a physical level. Whenever you're on a physical level, as far as health goes, it's whenever you're eating and living in a right lifestyle that is beneficial for your growth and longevity as far as your life goes. And that's just on the physical level. You know, that's exactly what that is. That's just, you know, where your skin's healthy, your heart's healthy, your kidneys healthy, your liver's healthy, you know, and that's what living in health is being aware of what you put into your body to reach that level of desired results as far as operating level that is what you desire. So that is health. Now that's on a physical level. On a mental level, I would say that whenever you're talking about mental health, it's whenever you absolutely, totally take a really good look at yourself, recognize what you need to work on, what can be left alone for a while, but eventually needs to be addressed. But just basically taking a good long look at yourself and seeing what serves you and what doesn't, what you can observe and what you're part of, what you can let go and what you can't. I think that really boils down to what mental health is all about. And once you become, like, just like Ralph Smart says, once you become your greatest version, or you strive to become that greatest version, you're not only on a path to a physical health, but you're also on a path to a mental health, because you're taking a good long look at not just your physical body, but your lifestyle. Okay. Once you get into spiritual health, well, that's like completely, you know, it's along the same lines, and those first two add up, you know, or complement your mental health and your physical health. The mental health and physical health does complement your spiritual health, But that really, I think that comes down to, as long, and it doesn't necessarily have to be all this righteous stuff. It's just whenever you feel that you are living your ethics to a degree that you believe is beneficial for you and everyone involved in that. Even if it is tough love, like Crowley. It's like, oh, I'm sorry I offended you, but maybe you needed to be offended. That type of thing. And I believe that's where spiritual health comes in. Whenever you're being true to yourself and you're being true to whatever path that you are on, that leads to your spiritual health. I think that's about all I can really think to say on it.
Because here's the thing that I notice a lot about what you wrote there, Tony, is that when you say about mental health, you said DSM stands for the manual that is dumb and crappy and made up, which I believe is supposed to be true because, first off, there's a lot of things that our human race has evolved and to become more sensitive to, like, for example, the GMO foods that we've been eating, or I don't know, even the drugs that we smoke nowadays. And nowadays, we found a lot of people smoking more drugs than any other times before. But this time, it's not out of, like, just any... It's not, like, out of, like, depression or any form of, like, you're not in the mood for it, but it's more of, like, you just want to experiment.
I don't know. I think it really has to do with a majority of the people who do drugs, drink alcohol today. That is not a solution, but it is not the problem. The problem is, why did they do it to begin with? That goes back to society and the way that society is ran and the way people know it's not supposed to be. So they try to just take a moment to get away, and they use that as a crutch, whether it be whatever type of drug you're talking about or alcohol. It's exactly that. It's simply a crutch that you can use to kind of lean on for a second while, you look at the world going to hell in a handbasket. But that's only in perception. That's not necessarily how it has to be. You can create your world the way you want to. And the change does come from you. So whenever you start being a certain way, it resonates around the people that you are around. Whether they believe in it or not, that doesn't matter. Your energy resonates. And I mean, it's just like whenever a coil in electronics, you run energy through it, it induces voltage. That's scientific fact. Or current
you give
scientific
such
fact.
great analogies, Tony, with tools and
but
bolts and...
Induced voltage is like totally a resonance effect, and anything around that will feel that voltage from the voltage going through the wire. There's also what they call induced voltage, and that's just the voltage coming from that coil, and that's how the step-up transformer works, and that's how a step-up consciousness works. Whenever you exist the way you believe is the best way to be, and you start promoting that energy, and you induce that type of energy, it has nothing else it can do but step up into other people's lives and transform them, and it's an ad infinitum process to change this world.
Wow. That is just one part of the story, but like when you guys brought up that one, I found out that, like, when I read through archaeological history, I found out that humans, just like every other animals, is that the moment we change our diet or the moment we start doing something, it also changes our human evolution, where, like, our history goes from being just a bunch of animals that, like, only barely learn how to use tools. Now we can be able to develop languages, or we can meditate for long periods of time, or sometimes we can go hunt or write languages. It's ridiculous.
Wait, I don't believe I was a monkey.
Like, of course we don't have to be called a monkey, but like there's certain things that does not make any sense about our human race. It's like the moment we start eating meat, that's also the moment we start having larger brain capacities to the point where we can be able to think faster, or do a lot more stuff with our intelligence.
Hmm.
Like, any ideas about this? Because I personally found out that that happens the same way with us today as, like, the more, like, back in the old 60s, for example, if you were to spend the time in pollution, like, people wouldn't be all big about your health because, like, back then we have a long history of poor diet. So more likely our ancestors were all of a sudden, like, I don't think our human race will be able to grow any further.
Wait, when was the poor diet you were saying, Andy?
It actually started around the 1940s, or a lot sooner than that. Like somewhere when the industrial age begins, where people began
When
to
they
move
started processing food?
like a lot of people died around that time period, and I was like, and then I found out that the human consciousness along the way also drops. Like it went this, it went that slow or that fast. And guess what? Nowadays, I don't know how the hell is that our consciousness all of a sudden got turned around and now it's going back up again. Any ideas about that? Like, all of a sudden, more people becoming more sensitive to certain addictions. Like, for example, if you give a child a drug right now compared to the ones that are 40 years ago, they're more sensitive to that. If you give them an additive or any food that is not natural, they will start going out of control already. Versus like 40 years ago, that doesn't seem to happen very often. We were a lot more tolerant with that.
Hey guys, what's going on?
Sure.
Hey, Sherman.
Hey, I'm sorry, I've been super busy, but just wanted to hop in on the chat on what Andy was saying. Well, they say right now we're in the age of a great awakening, right? And wouldn't that make sense too? Is why? I'm sorry, what?
Oh yeah, like the thing is, what I just don't get is how come our children nowadays are becoming more sensitive to everything? Like our grandparents were.
That's what Sherman said. That we are, as far as the whole age thing goes, you know, it's the age of, like what Sherman said, the age of awakening. Now, the theories involved with that is there's like a 25,900 year cycle that occurs where the solar system, or our galaxy, I guess, goes through a different area of the universe, and there's like a galactic cycle that is occurring. Of course, like that, I believe, I don't know the exact ages, but it's the Iron Age, the Dark Ages, and so on and so forth, into the Golden Age, and that's what we're going to. They call it, and of course in the 60s they called it the Age of Aquarius, but they were wrong. We were still in the Age of Pisces. Not until December 12th, or December 21st, 2012, did we cross that galactic equinox to a point where we are now in the Age of Aquarius. You know, so there is a state of enlightening that's happening, or a conscious awakening that is occurring in this area of the universe. I don't know if it's because matter is less dense, but that's some people's theory on it. And because of that, we're able to be a lot more sensitive to things than we had in the past.
So I wonder what was the factor that actually that made us like open certain areas of our genes, because I know that we had it from the very start, because that's just who human beings are, obviously, but what's activating us all of a sudden? Is it the sun, or what part of the universe is like activating our genes? Oh, cool.
I think the sun plays a good part in.
It's the well, if you think about matter as not being as dense as it used to be, consider that like
well, density
like
is the third dimension.
Yeah, exactly. Think of salt water and fresh water. You know, salt water is a lot more dense than fresh water, and you know, therefore, whenever you go out into salt water, the more salty it is, the more buoyant you are. You know, you don't have to you float a lot easier. And consider, like, we have been in salt water and now we're going to fresh water because it's not near as dense. The energies can travel through the matter a lot easier. It's kind of like trying to put your hand through gravel, and then like trying to put your hand through like Jello. You know, it's a lot easier because the energies can flow through a lot easier when in a less dense state of matter than they can if the matter is more dense.
Then there are substances such as custard, non-Newtonian fluids, where the harder you try and push against it, the more resistance it gives.
Right. So that's a very dense material. A custard is very dense whenever you push against it.
I mean, it's easier if you tried to walk slowly on custard, you would fall into it. But if you really slap it with your feet, it will hold weight. I mean, I meant that as an analogy to like the flows and cycles of nature. If you try to resist them, if you try to go against them, they'll put up more resistance.
An interesting analogy. I like that.
Right. So let me try.
But yeah, basically, Andy, in answer to the question, that's what I believe myself and quite a few others believe. Is matter is becoming less dense, so the energy can flow more freely, and that is causing a higher and faster connection. And
Yeah. Like, guys, tell me if Tony is talking about here, what he said that matters.
Well, some people call it moving from the third dimension to higher dimensions, like from the third dimension to the fourth and the fifth, and closer to source in that process. And if you think of dimensions as frequencies of vibration, then you can see the higher you vibrate, the closer you are to source.
Right, and like the thing is like I wonder what led to that shift of being matter going from third dimension to fourth dimension. It's like there's always like a cause or something happened around like every 26,000 years, I guess. What was it that made that shift happen? So that if that happens, if we can build recreate it again, and continue on that cycle of being awakened, or if we're about to go dense, we also have to know like how is it that it's going so that whenever it hits, we know how to guard ourselves.
That I don't know. I believe that's what the pyramids were for. I believe that's what Stonehenge was for. The Rosicrucians or R.C. Christian created the Georgia Guidestones, hoping that they will continue to exist throughout time, and people in thousands and 10,000s of years from now will marvel at what is said in several different languages, and hopefully it'll be like the Rosetta Stone, where people can at least get what remnants of a language might be left after a apocalyptic event if something should occur. So there are people that are thinking in the long term. It's like the 10,000 year clock. I don't know if you've heard of that, but they've made a clock that will last 10,000 years. They're a Rachithia machine. I'm not sure if you're aware of what that is, but it is a machine that they found in Greece that is actually a working computer. Not like we're talking on right now, but for the time, it was more advanced than we thought they could ever possibly be, with some intricate gearing systems and stuff like that would measure the equinoxes, the full moons, the tides of the solar system, the turn of the, I already said equinox, but yeah, the months, the calendar, it all figured it out just by cranking cranking a crank. And as you turn it, it would keep track of everything. Pretty much kind of like the Mayan calendar, how it's got the wheels and gears on it, and it's a long calendar. Well, that's the same thing as this was. And, you know, there is evidence that, you know, our ancient societies did know a lot more than what we give them credit for. But trying to pass that information down throughout time is misunderstood through a lot of the people, especially when you have the powers that be that want to hide knowledge and use it to control people, like the Vatican, for example. You know, during the what do they call it? Oh my God, what the hell do they call that? The Inquisition. During the Inquisition,
It's messed up things, man.
yeah, it was a messed up time period. Anything that had to do with science was seen as witchcraft and destroyed. You know, so whenever you get to a point where one organization or group is trying to maintain the status quo, anything that comes out new or comes out discovered, they will try to sweep it under the rug. Galileo spent the last 9 years of his life under house arrest because he believed the earth went around the sun and not the sun around the earth.
Just he believed, or
Well, he knew. He wasn't trying to convince. He had hypothesized the theory of it and had done tests. You know, used the scientific method to track and follow the shadow of the sundial, and he used a rope mechanism. You know, he used what tools he had at the time. Yes, I said tools. But he used what tools he had at the time to prove his theory. And even as he confessed that the earth was the center of the universe so that they wouldn't kill him, he did say under his breath, but it does move. You know, talking about the earth. The earth moves around the sun. And he spent the last 9 years of his life under house arrest because the Vatican did not want that information out because it basically broke down their teachings and what they were trying to teach everybody, since God told them they knew. So if God told them and they knew, how could anybody else disprove them? Otherwise, they're disproving their God, and therefore people would question the deity that the Vatican stands for.
maybe Galileo was a prophet.
Right, and so like,
But yeah, that happened in quite a bit. But yeah.
idea about some of the things that you would recommend for us or the audience about like healthy diets and all those developments on spirituality that you want to do, because the thing is we've been talking about this for
Study Indian medicine. East Indian.
oh my God, you brought up
Ayurveda.
oh my God, I knew it. I love that.
Wait, I have a recommendation, but I'll wait until last.
Go ahead, Elias.
Alrighty, man.
Tai Chi, man. Tai Chi. Anytime I got like something on my body that's hurting, or like something that like when I get twitchy or when I get a headache, I just release the chi, man. You know what I'm saying? And it helps. It really does. It's awesome.
That makes sense.
Well, Tai Chi is
I do more so
actually
Qigong, but
meditation in motion. So whenever you're doing Tai Chi, what you're doing is you're meditating on the moves. And meditation, oh yeah, you cannot stress enough how beneficial and productively health-wise meditation can be, not only for the mind, you know, emotion and spirit, but also for the body.
especially
I
as
gotta
to
turn my
use the
phone
body.
again.
Because stress kills.
Doing it again.
You know, and if there's any way that you can limit stress in your life, you know, that will increase your longevity. It's like I had somebody in the hospital the other day when my mom went to the hospital, said I looked like I was 20, 26 years old. And I just had my 20th, 24th birthday in February. You know, so Okay, maybe I do perceive and continue to maintain the mentality of, and the physical, I guess, awareness of a 25-year-old. But I had my 24th birthday in February, and if you do the math, I've been on this planet 44 years and look like I'm 25 because of meditation, because of healthy living, healthy lifestyle, and not letting stress get to you. You will
Not
not
falling
near
under
as
ageism.
and not falling under ageism. You're as old as you believe. You're as old as you feel. So yeah, don't ever let anybody tell you, or you have to act like this because you're this old. No, you don't. You can be a kid at heart and be 80 years old.
I might want to watch Peter Pan.
Well, Michael, guess what, dude?
Exactly.
I did what
Beautifully said.
Guess what? My girlfriend said, "Are you a 10-year-old kid? Because I feel like I want to adopt you." And I was laughing on that one.
You usually don't adopt people that you date.
That sounds so messed up, right?
10-year-old or 12-year-old all the time, and I was like, man, I should take that as a compliment because I'm 20 already.
Right. So yeah, just think of it like whenever you're 30, you'll look 20. When you're 40, you'll look 20, and so on. So you just have to keep that in mind that it has nothing to do with the length of time you're on
Andy,
this
you're
planet.
Ash Ketchum,
It's
bro.
where you want to be.
You're Ash Ketchum. Andy,
No,
you're
I'm Ash Ketchum.
Now here's the thing, dude. Like,
I have the hat.
He does have the hat.
like my several weeks ago is that he told us that how pee is the elixir of life, and I was like, oh, dude, you got me.
Well, whenever I went over to your house, you showed me your big bucket of pee, so
Yeah.
touche,
I have two
Is it
bottles.
nutritious? Yeah, yours was pretty dark, man.
If you're talking about pee, you should be able to, like, if you know how I eat, you should be able to know how my pee would look like.
It comes and
Yours
goes
was a
along.
little
I
bit
don't
dark,
want
though.
to imagine what someone's pee would look like.
Yours
That's
was kind
something
of dark,
that
though.
you want to
It's
do.
yellow.
You
But,
know,
like-
but that happens if you don't drink a lot of. If you don't
Why
drink,
isn't everyone's pee yellow, dude?
Oh, there you go. Okay, there you go.
well, there's a science to it.
What do you put into your system, first of all? And, like, that's how you determine how healthy your pee is like, usually white means you're very healthy. Partly yellow, you're fine, but really, really yellow, that means you really have to drink water. Or green, you better
Like
check on these.
if it's really
It depends.
clear, if
That
it's like
yellow means you need a lot of water.
yeah, if it's really like almost like water, then that person has got a good amount of water intake, throughout the day.
One thing it also has to depend on is what time of day you do it, because like after you wake up, it's going to be a dark yellow or darker yellow because you're cleaning out your urine tract. So, and then once you like go out throughout the day and you drink more, it's going to be clearer throughout the day because you're getting more water into your system. So yeah, it really depends on what time of day you do it. So
The urethra.
go take a drug test early in the morning and hold your pee in because you will get everything that you had within the past 2 months.
Wait, who's taking a drug test? Is it Tony?
Can I
Taking
bring
a drug test?
No, I haven't done that in a long time. But anyway, I'm just saying that's whenever you get like a concentrated amount of what's in your system is in the morning. That's why they try to schedule them in the morning. So if you can get up at like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning and then pee and drink a lot of water, you can clean out your urine tract fairly easy. I've heard people talk about dill pickle juice and stuff like that. But on a completely different,
here's what I do.
as far as getting back to the topic of health, I would have to say that health is a state of mind. It really has to do with wanting to live your life style for the betterment of not only like your body, but like body, which is heart, you know, liver, kidney, but also like your mental state, emotional, spiritual, you know, having that healthy idea in mind.
If you do drink pee, don't drink a quart.
Yeah, and if
Tony,
if you do
I
decide
agree
to
with you, bro.
experiment on weird shit like that, don't drink a quart.
Can I bring up a topic?
Yo, but wait.
Go ahead, Danielle.
Here's my best recommendation for everybody. Just drink water. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Lots
here's what
of
I
it.
do. Like, when I want to drink something like sweet, like some juice or some bullshit like that, I'll wait until I eat dinner. But, like, for the rest of the day, I'll drink water. You know, sometimes I'll let my pee get yellow, but, like, I like to drink a lot of water, so,
I don't know about you.
H2O.
I
yeah.
know
Water's
but
good, you know, just have it with ice or something.
Well, the interesting thing about water is they say that water is really just condensed astral energy. I mean, it's really just condensed oxygen in a sense into a form of fluid or liquid, you know, hydrogen plus oxygen. Does that sound about right?
Some scientists think that water could be one of the most
Dude,
common.
that sounds awesome. It makes me want to pour myself a glass of water right now.
Actually, it's been known to, well, they say that there's actually a spirit in water, or a water is able to contain memories within it, which the Native Americans and indigenous cultures have been saying for years is that, you know, there's a spirit in water. And also based on Dr. Emoto's work, you know, he said
The water and the
positive-
emotion?
Yeah.
Oh, carry on,
said-
bro. I didn't
said-
mean to.
No, it's all
Okay,
good.
so-
He said positive things to a glass of water, froze it, you know, looked at it in you know, under a microscope. He saw that it had about like a 6-star figure configuration of a geometrical shape. He had another water, froze it, you know, put it in the looked at it under a microscope. It looked discombobulated. So it just shows not only what you say to the water, but the water has an intelligence in itself.
Oh yeah, and drink spring water too. Don't drink city water, or if you can, get a water filter, because there is a bunch of crap in water these days. But yeah,
Fluoride.
what you want to drink is 8 to 10-ounce glasses.
Which I'm
a day.
still working on that. I got about 3 today.
Oh wow.
But yeah,
Or-
that's what it's suggested to do. And if you want to, you can put salt in it as well, but not
Or
a whole lot. Let me
or
see what
if
it says as far as salt is concerned. I've got this book up still.
Or if you guys like, you guys can try also alkaline water that has like high hydrogen concentrations on there. Like I heard from Australia, there's this one company that actually created these machines, filter machines that actually have like those alkaline waters where they put in high concentration of hydrogen on there. It literally has more, the amount of antioxidants is a lot higher than if you were to eat like a whole cocktail of fruits on there. I heard.
It's, right, the power hydrogen, if you can get it, the highest that I know that you can get is Kangen water, which I believe you have to get the Kangen machine. That's like a pH of 13, the highest you can get that I've seen at Sprouts, or you could most likely find it at also, you could probably find it at HEB, but also if it, like Sprouts or Whole Foods is the 10 pH, and that's the highest that I've seen.
What it suggests here is 6 to 7 for like
right.
as far as like spring water goes.
Well,
And
the
you're
normal
supposed to use,
pH is around
supposed to have like
7.0 or so.
a half a teaspoon of salt throughout the day with 10 cups of water. So throughout, however you want to divide the salt. But yeah, what I'm reading here is salt-free diet is utterly stupid. Salt is the most essential ingredient in the body. In order of importance, oxygen, water, salt, and potassium rank as primary elements for survival. So yeah,
Once again, the elements.
Yeah. So as a rule of thumb, you need about 3 grams of salt, which is about half a teaspoon for every 10 glasses of water that you should take throughout the day.
So let me see here. You can try alkaline water. You can try all sorts of stuff. But wait, I also even heard that avocado can also do a lot of stuff on your system. Like, for example, it can clean out. If you eat like avocado seeds, scientific research shows that you can get a lot of G, a lot of antioxidants out of just eating the seed itself. And it contains like 70% protein in there.
Yep.
Like, any ideas? Even
avocado has so well, even the seed in the class that I took with Jeff Primack and all that, he does recommend well, you don't have to this horsepower blender that's like it's like a 3 horsepower blender or something, and what it does is able to break down the avocado seed into particles just so minute that it's so easily to just be absorbed into the But the interesting thing is that I found out, one day I think my mom and I just had this idea. We're just like, well, why don't we just grate the avocado and then put it into the blender? And then we found out that worked, and I was just like, well, I love this blender, but this shit costs a lot. I might just stick with grating, And so yeah, but definitely there's many benefits. I don't know them all, but it's definitely very nutritional, the avocado seed, as well as the avocado.
Well, and also another
good deed, blend an avocado seed.
What I also notice about, like, when it comes to mental health, that to those of you who are going into, hey, Corinne!
Hey.
So, yeah, going back from what, like, I also know how have, like, question. Like,
Another favorite areas. Sorry, Andy. Carry on.
so,
One more thing about water is you don't want to drink it cold, like ice water. You actually want to drink it at least at room temperature, or even possibly a little warm, because the body needs to heat the water quickly in order to maintain the temperature. So, if you drink cold water, one thing that you're going to do is immediately start using the energy to warm it up.
Oh, wow.
so let me, and also, here's something that I also found out from Michael's,
Yeah, I didn't know that, man.
that when you, like, the more, and here's the funny thing about the sun and some of the things that grow under the sun is that the moment you start drinking those stuff, or when you get exposure directly, all of a sudden, like, does anyone here notice, like, your mood starts changing after, like, certain amount of sun gazing, or, for example, sunning you get? Like, you might notice how your mood, your health starts changing permanently also. Like, let me describe what happened when I was doing sun gazing, like a year ago. When I first started it, like, I literally have a lot of moments where I got depression, I was anxious, I have, like, all sorts of crazy mental health problems. However, the moment when I start doing sun gazing with Michael, I started out with only like 1 minute, but like at first I got like certain solar prophecies. Like I thought I got blinded my eyes already. Like I'll bet you, Michael, you remember that.
Yeah.
And then it's like my mood gone from being all hyper, all tension like, to being like calm and feeling like, it's almost like I've reached enlightenment in just 5 or 6 months, And right now I'm actually doing something in 44 minutes and 44 seconds. And I'm literally, like, I can meditate at any given moment or any given time. It feels like as though time doesn't even exist for me. Like,
Well, you also get what they call light codes of information from the sun.
Like, can anyone elaborate some ideas about, like, how does the sun affected you, other than it gives you the light codes and all those important informations for it to activate? Because I know that there's so many more, but somehow we just haven't gotten access to any of the ancient informations yet.
What was the question?
Like, any other benefits that you can get from the sun, like anything like, for example, you overcame depression, or how does it affect you?
I'm walking on sunshine.
Whoa.
I'm sorry, I had it.
Because I personally love just, when I practice these stuff from some guy who taught me this stuff, at first I was just an amateur, but then later on I just learned to go with the flow, and somehow it worked out so well. But like sometimes benefit comes out in the middle of the session, and I have no idea if it existed or not. So, any ideas about, like, wait, Elias? Okay, you answered my question. You said, so we all have a connection to the other dimensions, top to bottom, but the key is in our memories. Like, think of it like Assassin's Creed, our DNA contain our own personal Animus.
Animus.
So that explains it then, I guess.
Animulus.
Because did you guys notice anything when you experience like long-term meditation? All of a sudden, like you felt like, oh my God, I suddenly know something, or everything makes sense to me all of a sudden. Any moments like that?
Yeah.
Like, describe it to all of us.
I think a lot of it has to do with just being intuitive. You know, trust your gut type of thing. You know, and then you have time. First you get. It's like I guess what I put it one way at one time was like a lot of scientific discoveries become their first intuitive proofs that are then proved by the scientific method, but they first come from, you know, they come from
visualization, or yeah.
No, they come from an idea, like Einstein's theory of relativity, Newton's action and reaction. You know, it comes from either an observation or an intuitive idea, and then they use what current tools they have available at the time to try to prove it. You know, so
well, I said Einstein.
Most of the time, whenever somebody posts a theory, it's an intuitive thing. You know, so they're thinking about something. It's like, hey, you know, they get that little light bulb in their head, and then they start.
And some people even think they're mad.
Yeah, some people even think that they might be mad. You know, but they still try to prove what they're trying to postulate, that they more than likely received by an intuitive truth that they're now trying to prove. And if that's pretty much what a scientist does, is, you know, is use the current tools of the time to try to prove intuitive truths that they believe.
Jesus said he was the Son of God, and he was persecuted for it.
Yeah, but does their own words not say, "Are ye not gods"? You know, that's what he told the Pharisees. It's like, is it not written in your own law that ye are gods?
Yeah, it comes from the Gnostic, if my understanding is correct.
No, that's absolutely straight out of the Bible. I can't remember where. I think it's in Proverbs.
I mean, that the Christian tradition evolved from the Gnostic tradition.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe yeah, that,
Yeah,
especially
early.
like with the Cathars and the Essenes. And that is more than likely what John the Baptist was an Essene.
Yeah, they said
So
it.
absolutely, yeah, they believed in the Gnostic ideas of, you know, it's just like, don't you what was another one that I like? It's like, don't you know that your body is a temple of God and the Spirit of God dwelleth within you? Of course, that's all
Right,
Christian,
Corinthians
but
chapter
it's
3:16.
16. But it's like John 3:16. No, Corinthians 3:16. Check that one out, and then
Check
come
that
back
one
to
out.
because that's absolutely very Buddhist in its own very nature. Is look within to find the inner divinity within yourself. And there's so many different religions that say look within.
Gotta know the native language to
And
speak to it.
you can't just believe the pulpit pounders. You got to read your own book.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And Thomas,
Read your own book.
Thomas in the Nag Hammadi
If
scroll.
you're a Christian, read the Bible. Don't take your preacher's word for it.
Thomas in the Nag Hammadi scrolls. If you're familiar with Thunder Perfect Mind, and he says, "I am the first and the last.
Yeah.
I am the whore and the holy one," and so on and so on.
Yeah.
I am your father.
Well, Crowley understood
Who's
that.
the
He got
horse?
the idea.
Yeah.
He totally recognized and understood. Like, he realized that he was enlightened, and then he started doing drugs, and he got all messed up.
So he
But
got
not-
enlightened and then he
not
got on
what he
drugs.
wrote. Not what he wrote, but just his body, and then he eventually died because of it. But what he wrote, and the works that he created is something that should be respected and understood. So,
Sure.
Well, you got to die at something, haven't you?
but that's just like with anybody who works on stuff and like they go mad or something like that. That doesn't give any less validity to their early works.
They said he had
So
more heroin in him than 15 men.
that does not surprise me.
Well, guys, like I don't know about this, but like here's the funny thing about sun gazing and why is it called an esoteric practice? When you brought up like some of the knowledges that require that came from intuition, is that what I noticed is when you practice sun gazing, there's a scientific study on this, is that your brain waves becomes more and more calm. It's almost like as though you're diving deeper into a meditative state, which I have no idea how or what induces it, but they said that it has a lot to do with hormones when you're exposed to the sun. And the more that you're exposed to that, and like the more you're getting used to it, just like when you're addicted to drugs or any form of like practices, the sun gazing works the same way. If you practice it every single day, like you might notice how, like for example, my body all of a sudden changes. Like if you guys notice it, I never got sick for the past 9 months, or I never been to the hospital for years already. Because
Be careful not to do it to the extent that it causes permanent damage to your eyesight.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
like
you
if you do
want
it
to do it during
right,
the safe hours.
Yeah.
It's like Andy said.
Also, if you look at the sun too much, you'll start, like you said, you'll start to mess up your eyesight. I kind of already permanently jacked mine up. Every time I close my eyes, I see different colors.
I think that's.
I think I somewhat broke the color spectrum.
now here's the funny thing, Elias, is that I want to show you, because I used to jack up my eyesight also, is that you can still repair it, because here's the funny thing. Several months ago, I also did sun gazing with Michael, and somehow I got solar retinopathy. They took me to the hospital, and they say that they thought that I was blind for life. They recommended me all sorts of drugs. And guess what? The whole month, I literally didn't sun gaze. I just drink vitamins, like a high dosage of it, and just practice exercising and learn how to live like a good morals, or I don't know, like good mental health
lifestyle, guess what?
Andy, what if you have cataracts and you don't know it, bro?
Well, cataracts, you can still reverse that, if you know how to do it right.
True.
And in fact, here's the funny thing.
Well,
Did
he
you
was
know-
just not always doing it at the correct
Read.
hours.
Right. But guess what, Michael? In 2 or 3 weeks, I recovered.
True.
And I was back on sun gazing, and now I'm at 44
Because
minutes.
he is the legend.
Go
Andy,
ahead,
you are
Andy.
the legend.
But like, there's a way to become a legend. That's what I'm trying to show everyone here, is that there's a way. Just like there's a will, there's always going to be a way.
There is a way.
And that way is
There's
to-
always going to be a way. I agree with you.
The only problem is that somehow there's not enough willpower to actually do it. Because the thing is when we meditate,
bro.
like for example, if you want to meditate and get to enlightenment like in 9 or 10 months, it's easy. You have to learn how to see how your mind works. Second of all, you have to know that just like it's a biological system, you have to know how it works on a biological scale. Like you have to feed yourself with certain things. That's why we have this webinar for a reason, so that people can learn about what makes a proper diet. How do we become healthy?
Well, the word.
If we don't know how to do healthy, you're done.
You know what?
The word diet has the
You know-
word diet.
You know what?
So any
Never
ideas?
wanna die.
Because
As
that's
the word
what like
dying
that is what going on with the world today, is that half the time we either live in a society where we're up and running with our work, we forgot about our diets, and when we have to entertain ourselves, we entertain ourselves with newsletters, which isn't helpful for our cognitive development at all, and then we pollute our kids with it. By the time we retire, we were devastated. Like, anyone see a pattern in that? Like how so many people nowadays, they just retire and do nothing.
Well, yeah, not necessarily everybody does.
Hey, did anyone read that
But what
thing I
can they
typed
do?
down?
But to be totally honest, what can they do? There's not a whole lot that we're allowed to do, to be totally honest, without spending money. Even as far as like going fishing at the lake, you have to have a fishing license, and in Oklahoma, you have to have permits once you have a fishing license. So
Yeah, but
you can't just go and throw a pole in the water and just kind of chill, or as far as if you want to go hunting,
You used to be
you
able
have
to.
you have to have your papers. You must have your papers. If you don't have your papers, you cannot do what you want to do. You have to have your papers.
Did the
It's
American
fucking bullshit.
Indians?
Stop.
Did they ever have
Just don't get me started on that. I don't even want to go there. But yeah, the reason that people retire because when they worked all their lives, that's all they've known to do. So when they retire, they don't know how to do anything else. And that's not everybody all the time. I don't like using absolutes, but there are quite a few people that are that way. They've done the same thing their whole life, that now they don't know what to do. So they just like sit and veg in front of the TV instead of like trying to come up with a new hobby. My dad, he's retired, and he doesn't do that, so I know that's not all, that's not a case, that is a case-by-case basis. Not everybody is that way. He works out in the shop, he does what he can to keep himself occupied and entertained. He takes jumping jacks and makes them into bottle rockets.
Tony, because your dad is a military veteran, so that makes a lot of
Yeah,
sense.
he has, so he's very much so self-motivated. And other people, they'll retire and they'll sit and die in their armchair watching TV.
no.
I mean, so it really, that's just a cold hard
No,
truth.
never.
That's the cold hard truth. And some people do that. They just, after they retire, they just stop. And once you stop, your body says, "Oh, we're done. Okay."
There's a Kroger quote that was like,
You got to keep going.
it was exactly like that. He was like, the whole.
Find something to do.
It was a really
Well,
good quote.
that's only one part of the story, but like, what about like if regarding like mental health? Of course, we know that getting active, exercising is always a good thing. But mental health wise, like I've seen a lot of people just because they were living with bipolar or any form of personality disorders, they ended up like I can see their body start shaping according to their mental health. Like
How many,
it's unbelievable.
how many bipolar people existed 200 years ago?
Oh, okay, here it is.
Really?
I've got the quote. Okay, it says,
It wasn't even called bipolar back then.
Ah, exactly. So how many
It
people
did
were
not.
bipolar 200 years ago? Or were they just moody? Or were they just moody? You see what I'm saying? You can't
Or were
necessarily
they
go
just,
by that. That's another example of a label in the dumb stuff made up manual. The DSM, that's the R-rated, that's the G-rated version. The dumb stuff made up manual, the DSM, it's a joke. I've had psychiatrists that I've seen on videos say that the DSM is a joke. Nobody can have a social disorder if they're alone on a desert island.
that's true. Because they're not in society. That's crap
Exactly.
made up by society, bro.
Totally.
Like, freaking those people that you were talking about, they didn't just change their moods fast. What if they were just really open emotionally people?
That's
You
right.
know?
Yeah, they could
And
just
it's
be
like, it's
highly
just a
emotional people.
category. It's just a label designed to make money off of us.
Oh, it's like,
and
have you
our
heard the
health
latest
more.
one? Have you heard the latest disorder in the dumb stuff made up manual? ODD,
No. What's
obsessive
that?
crap
defiant,
eater.
obsessive defiant disorder. And what that says is basically that you have a problem with authority. So if you don't trust authority and do what they say, that you have a disease, you have a mental illness.
That's just
That's
silly.
the government.
Straight up,
The
yeah.
government's trying to put pills in us all, bro.
Did
Put
they
pills in us,
really
and
like
make us brain
make
dead,
that?
and put us in front of a fucking
They
TV.
passed that in the DSM last
What?
year.
Last
ODD.
year.
Oh my god,
Is
Oh,
the
dude, I'm
desire
migrating to Canada, bro.
that's
is
just
the
silly.
desire is the desire to go against conformity and against society is a disease,
Is it a desire or is it a right?
then I guess I'm a diseased
Not given
man.
right. You know?
I
Is
mean,
it
in a
a
way,
creator?
that's
Is
saying
it
that
a
we're all
creator
diseased.
given right to choose your own life?
Disease, which
No,
You know what I'm
means
saying?
dis-ease.
You know?
Disease.
We're not
Yeah.
diseased.
There's a lack of ease.
That's just words they're making up. They're just making that crap
They're just
up.
making it up, yeah. The
They
G-rated
wanna,
version
they wanna,
is dumb
they wanna
stuff
make us
made up.
docile, like
You know, because
the
especially in the
Nazis.
The PG
'60s,
version is dumb
we're-
shit
we're-
made up.
There's
people,
no
especially in
fun
the '60s,
saying
were they
to
really
everyone else.
obedient towards societal norms?
Yeah, dude, that's horse crap too.
They
Our
were all
societal
about
norms are
breaking
so
through.
freaking out of date, bro. Like,
But
they
yeah,
don't
the
even
whole,
match
the whole
up with our
point is
current
don't try
culture
to
anymore.
define your health using the DSM. That's all I'm saying. You know, don't think that your mental health has anything to do with the DSM. Your mental health has to do with how you feel about yourself and how you can better yourself.
Right,
and
and like
you know, and the way that you
They really don't look into the souls of people.
Well,
No,
yeah,
they're not.
Well,
there
they
is
don't even
spiritual
believe in
practices
souls,
that
dude.
would
Like,
receive
scientifically, they still don't believe in the soul. That's science's problem. Back a couple of million years ago, science came from alchemy. They just like took the heart out of alchemy and shot it through the heart and made it
Yeah,
into science.
yeah, and
Well,
then
also, the word
the
psyche
skirting science
is
come out
supposed to be
of it.
synonymous with soul.
I'm sure.
here's the thing,
I'm
guys.
sure in the Library of Alexandria there was a lot more volumes on psychology that we don't know about. I believe it's an incomplete field of study that they do not have all the information on. All they got is just the basics. And as far as the rest of it goes, it's either hidden in the Vatican archives or
In the
it's
Vatican.
burned in the Egyptian library.
But the
Yeah,
thing is,
I'm going to take off, y'all. I got some stuff going on, so I enjoyed it. Take it easy, internet. I hope y'all learned something.
Oh,
Namaste.
peace, Mike, bro.
live long and
Finish it out, man.
Live long and prosper, bro. May the
Yeah.
force be with you.
Peace out too. You know, it's
May the
like
force be with
for
you.
so for those of you who are watching this show, it's like as you might have known, is that mental health, spiritual health are all interconnected in one way or the other. Is that when we take care of our mental health or our
What
spiritual
about
health,
emotional
it
health?
reflects on our physical.
What about emotional health, bro?
Emotional health is part of that mental health also, because mental, cognitive, emotional, social, they're all part of that mental. We just classify it
Alright,
as
bro.
something. So, because that's according to science or psychology, like that's how most of them tend to classify it. And like they were part of that one category of like the mind. And so when you learn how to adjust your mind, your body, or your spirit, and aligns it in such a way that you thrive in an environment rather than you're surviving in the environment, that's the moment you have succeeded in doing your purpose. So therefore, like for our homework of this webinar is to like write out 10 things, just 10 things that you want to do in a week. That you might find that you're healthy and that will make you happy, and it will that will like change the environment around you. And then come back to this class and tell me what did you see around you? Like what did you notice about your mood? What did you notice about like your physical health? Did you look a lot more handsome compared to the last time, or are you? And what happened? What made that change happen? To those of you who watch my show, thank you, and stay tuned for more.